evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to our main news bulletin. Here are the top stories that are making headlines in our news tonight. A civil rights activist mocks UPND'S corruption fight in the last 2 years. An old couple of LUSAKA is on the verge of losing the lands they occupied since in 1964. The Ministry of Labour challenged to investigate illegalities by teacher unions. And in international news, DRC Congo's President FELIX TSHISEKEDI to seek re-election. And in sports news, Spanish FA activities sexual violence protocol after JENNI HERMOSO kiss. My name is Sylvia Zulu. Do join me with the details after this break.
The government of the kingdom is the most powerful government in all of the universe. God appointed days and assignments for you to do long before your mother and father came together. So God spoke to St. Francis. The court of heaven is a very powerful place. It's a dimension in the spirit realm that my people can step into by faith and win battles against the devil.
There's at least 76 times where the Bible talks about that God is the judge of all the earth. So therefore, we're talking about the courts of heaven that is in the spiritual realm, not in the natural realm.
What God is about to do at Grace and in South Africa, I caught it. Therefore, what did I do? I believed. After I believed, I have announced. After I have announced, you and I are going to do what? Pray it into being in the natural.
The purpose of you knowing how to get into the courts of heaven and win the cases is not just for the sake of winning. It's for you to go to another level. To go to another level.
We have made prayer more complicated and difficult than what it is because we have not realized that this is a key element of our prayer life, that we pray that which were purposed so that grace can accompany and you can succeed and you can live a fulfilled life. And the heavens are pleased because that's what they fashioned us for.
This is the main news on Camnet TV, and now the news in detail. Residents of LUSAKA's Fumbelo area in Mandevu constituency are calling on the local leadership to construct a nearby police post amidst increasing cases of crime in the area. One of the residents, Justin Kunda, explains to Camnet News that it has become dangerous to move during night time, hence calling for a quick construction of a police post. Mr. Kunda is of the view that having a police post in the area will increase police patrol and lead to reduced crime rate. Meanwhile, area member Councillor Chileshe Mwango has assured the residents that a police post will soon be constructed to cater for the Mai Chola and Fumbelo community through the 2022 Constituency Development Fund, CDF.
At first glance, it might seem pointless as others associate men and women in uniforms to being unfriendly, but a closer look speaks the opposite. The presence of a police post in a locality brings peace and stability to the residents amidst increasing numbers of criminal activities. The police, beyond law enforcement, are duty-bound to protect life and property, while the police posts are a haven of support, offering assistance beyond the call of duty. The case is different for Kabanana residents in Fumbelo area who are calling for the construction of a nearby police post. The residents explained to this journalist that it is challenging to seek the attention of the police from Chipalu police post because of distance.
Two, the police post is very far, so security is at stake. So we're asking the government and the MPs to follow these things up. We've been complaining with the MP, no results have been coming up.
Then kuno kwatu polisi kulibe pafupi. Polisi tima chitoenda ni kutari ku polisi kwa neti maenda. Kwa Chipwalu kuno kwatu kulibe.
Police, cause there are some cases that should involve police, like fear, like theft. we have criminals here, like young boys attending into junks. Yeah, they are robbing people so far, and they are becoming monsters.
But Area Councillor Chileshe Mwango explains that all the concerns have been taken into account as a new police post to save Maichola and Fumbelo residents is under construction using the 2022 Constituency Development Fund, CDF. Mr. Mwango acknowledges the existence of high numbers of criminal activities due to the increasing population in the area.
Crime rate is high in this area. So we sat with the community and decided that we needed security, adequate security. So we agreed that we needed to do a construct a police post within this area. We are using this project is being undertaken under CDF fund for 2021. Just pretty much like 2022. 2021, 2022, approximately this is coming to about 850,000.
Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
A Lusaka family of Foxdale residential area has been thrown into a state of uncertainty and despair after a piece of land it has occupied for more than 58 years was allegedly grabbed by former ruling party cadres and some former government officials. In an interview with Camnet News, 85-year-old John Mumba says he was given a large piece of land by a white farmer who relocated to his country after Zambia gained its independence in 1964. He alleges that former ruling cadres and some government officials encroached and started allocating land without his consent. More in this report.
Not long after Zambia gained independence in 1964, this family of Lusaka's Foxdale residential area was fortunate to be left a huge piece of land by a white man who relocated to his country. However, this family has been thrown into a state of uncertainty and despair after half of the land in question they occupied for more than 58 years was allegedly grabbed. The Mumba family alleges that the land was grabbed by former ruling party, the named member of parliament who left them with this small portion. The family says what is most painful is that they are at the verge of losing the only remaining small portion of land they were left with, as they allege that someone went threatening them over the same.
Munagula kulindani fuka amalo anesisira ni mzungu poenda kwao po wapitikisha mu 1964 pamena na apisha azungu pamena na tisira pale banane nakuti malo abaise tidwe ndalama za kumpasana so isevoka mbapati so akaidwa nzatu ana ndalama ndiye kubwera chabe cheka malo wonse malo enza akulu wonse nikugawana weka ati ni wakulandi gawana ise kosa kambako tankalazi taenda kufuti nikutitawa taenda kufuti watitawa kansimwe pambana kuti tizivutana nawo kaida kamba ti boma yatenga boma ikatenga paliwe veneti ngakamba so ndiye mwamene tinalekeramo basi wangu bwera wamanga abwera wamanga mpaka nonse apaka romba fulu ise kutisira pamene pano kwa sira so tilinkhale napo pamene pano futi kuyamba kutivuta alipo mkazi uyo na eve anabwerera ti nifuna kwa maruka chechi.
85-year-old John Mumba and his wife, 75-year-old Enelesi Lungu, who silently lost half of their land ownership, claim to never received any compensation, and they claim that surviving with the current cost of living is hard.
Uyawe neo kukanga lomba utengo lena tikene tumfone chite munchite munipai nikubera ninkali pamene pano pini yambira mzungu wangu esipala weruta mwerensi solomba yako ini kwa yenda niende kuti pano panafika kuti nikasagire malo nikasagire.
An effort to get a comment from the accused member of parliament proved futile by broadcast time as the phone went unanswered.
Number you're trying to reach has been diverted to another number. Please stay online while the call gets connected.
For Mr. Mumba and his wife, They are calling on the government to come to their aid and help them protect the only portion of land they have been left with.
So ngazigona panja monga na bwera lero malo alibanga. So ine njamene nipempa kuti boma ngati yanga napo inthandize ine pano palibe pamene ngachiti nakalambira pamene pano vana 12 manje komene nzaenda 64 nili pano
kuchipata kwini choka ni mwana ng'ono fo pita uko zobera pano kwano nikali nyamata amene msepa alongosi wanga mwalira bene konga kwa mimi ndikaende kuti ndikazivika kuti bweniyo bulu wangu wakule bulu wanga ni boma manje yusungane pa.
Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
A development expert, John Lijimu, predicts that it will be difficult for Zambia to attain the target of reducing poverty by 2030 as enriched in United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 1. Mr. Lijimu says this is because the poverty reduction agenda has not been prioritized as seen by the lack of profiling the poverty levels in all parts of the country. He has since urged government to come up with strategies that aim at eradicating poverty in the country at all levels. Nelson Zulu has more in this report.
Zambia subscribes to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which were initiated in 2015 with goal number 1 focusing on ending poverty in all forms everywhere by 2030. Its objectives include ensuring that the entire population, especially the most vulnerable, have equal rights to economic resources, access to basic services, property and land control, natural resources, and new technologies. But according to the World Bank, as of March 29, 2023, more than 61% of Zambia's 19.1 million population earn less than the international poverty line of $2.15, equivalent to 42 kwacha, 43 ngwe per day, and 3/4 of the poor live in rural areas. As such, a development expert, John Lijimu, says it will be difficult for the country to attain this goal by 2030 due to various factors such as inflation.
As a country in Zambia, we do not put in necessary measures and necessary strategies, then we should forget about meeting the SDGs by the year 2030. You know, the inflation rate, by close of the year, it's been projected that we might hit the double digit of inflation rate. That in itself compounds the environment within which Zambians are living in ensuring that they go beyond what we call the Gini coefficient, which is the poverty datum line.
Mr. Lijimu says that realizing the target to eradicate poverty remains a challenge as there is no current poverty profile for the country.
It's not even an issue we have started working on. You know, issues to do with poverty with regard to those that are in the peri-urban and the rural areas that we haven't addressed. The indexing and profiling of what our poverty levels is still a matter that we are still discussing. Luapula and Western Province still stood at about 81% of extreme poverty in terms of rural poverty. But we have not seen any effort in ensuring that these provinces actually jump the poverty datum line and having efforts into that.
He proposes that government should begin to realign its strategies aimed at improving poverty in the country.
The poverty levels. So we call on government with all its lying ministries to make sure that they make SDG number 1 that aims at eradicating poverty and its manifestation to become key, because food security, especially at household level, is the key thing that will give dignity to the citizens of this country.
Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Civil rights activist Brebna Changala has maintained that the fight against corruption has been rhetoric during the UPND'S administration 2 years in office. Mr. Changala says the corruption fight under the UPND has been targeted at former PF administration members. He says the fight must be blind and not inspired by hate and revenge. Mr. Changala reiterates that the corruption fight under the current administration is not done in public interest. Mr. Changala states that while corruption existed under the Patriotic Front administration, for everyone to see the manner the UPND is fighting corruption amounts to persecution.
It must be fought in real time. And the fight against corruption must be blind. It must not be selective. And it must not be inspired through hate. And it must not be targeted. The moment all these things are put together, the fight against corruption collapses as it has done. Because this fight against corruption has no public support. And therefore, it is not being done in public interest. When the New Dawn administration came in power, we all celebrated that all wrongdoers will face the music. They will dance to the tune. What we have realized is actually the fight against corruption is being used to revenge and avenge. The corruption under the Patriotic Front was there for all to see. But it has been fought in a manner that looks like it's disorganized and is a case of persecution. Why do we say so? The fight against this corruption has been handled in a manner where investigations are not done properly. People are arrested on the basis of assumption. On the basis of assumption. And that's why you see drama in courts, because they do not have evidence, tangible evidence to convict people.
The UPND in Northwestern Provincial Committee have upheld the suspension of the former Provincial Youth Chairman, Bruce Kanema. Ruling UPND Northwestern Provincial Acting Information and Publicity Secretary Gibson Kashamba says it was discovered that Mr. Kanema did not answer to the exculpatory letter which the party asked him to do so. The former Provincial Youth Chairman has been placed on a 6-month suspension for allegedly collecting council money from Solwezi main bus station. Details in this report.
On the 16th of August 2023, the ruling UPND suspended its Northwestern Provincial Youth Chairperson Bruce Kanema on allegations that he collected 2,700 kwacha from Solwezi main bus station, thereby denying the local authority an opportunity to raise revenue. Sunday, the 27th of August 2023, the party's Northwestern Provincial Committee upheld the suspension of Mr. Kanema. Addressing the media this afternoon, UPND Northwestern Provincial Acting Information and Publicity Secretary says it was discovered that Mr. Kanema did not answer to the exculpatory letter which the party requested him to do so.
Verify and then give our people, the UPND, a clear position concerning the suspension of the youth chairperson as it stands, and after analyzing the reports from the disciplinary committee which was presented to the main committee, it was discovered that the provincial youth chairman by then, Bruce Kanema, did not answer to the exculpatory letter which was asked to, in which is alleged to have collected money from Solwezi bus station.
He disclosed that the resolution from the provincial committee is that they have upheld the suspension, saying his suspension is still in effect.
The resolution of the committee, the provincial committee, is that they upheld the suspension. The suspension is still in effect, that Bruce Kanema is no longer the provincial youth chairperson in Northwestern because he couldn't answer to the allegations as requested by the exculpatory letter, which as provincial committee members, never gave such a resolution. So to that effect, he stands charged alone, because the rest of them were under him, because he is the leader of the youth in the province. So we can only charge a leader, then if there is any other, who consequently inform the place.
Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
A non-governmental organization, Community Action Against Corruption, has challenged the Anti-Corruption Commission, ACC, to confirm if the Solicitor General, Michelle Muchende, is being investigated for alleged corruption activity of receiving a bribe from a former liquidator. Organization Chief Executive Officer Brighton Tembo tells Camnet News that the silence by ACC on the issue is not helping but contributing to speculations of accusations. Mr. Tembo reiterates that the Commission should be bold enough to face the nation with either a refusal or acceptance of the allegation in order for the public to have an accurate information. He says the growing tendency of allowing speculations of suspected corruption without official response works against the fight against corruption.
You know, we are calling upon the Anti-Corruption Commission to come out in the open and tell the nation whether it is true they are investigating Solicitor General Michelle Muchende over an allegation of receiving a bribe from a former liquidator. You know, this matter came out in the public domain almost a week or 2 weeks ago, but the Anti-Corruption Commission has remained silent. You know, where there is silence, there is that room for speculations. Sometimes these speculations are very much damaging to the people who are at the center of such kind of an allegation. So the Anti-Corruption Commission can do the nation a favor by coming out and clearly state whether it's true they are investigating the Solicitor General or they are not investigating the Solicitor General, so that they put that statement on record. Unlike a situation where they decide to just keep quiet and the people continue speculating, that is not good. Sometimes this is the reason why people do not take the statements that come from investigative wings of government as serious, because they wait up to the point where the situation degenerates into something else. That is when they come out and try to give a statement. And usually people take such kind of statements as firefighting statements. So the Anti-Corruption Commission should do the nation a favor and come out as quickly as possible and state whether it's true or not they are investigating Solicitor General over an allegation of receiving a bribe.
Movement for Restoration of Teachers' Affairs in Zambia, Moreta Zambia, has called on the Ministry of Labor and Social Development to address the illegality where teachers are being subjected to multiple union membership deductions. Moreta Zambia Executive Director Samuel Mbumba is disappointed that unions are accepting teachers' payslips without their consent, that's subjecting them to multiple deductions. Dr. Mbumba says they have evidence proving that some teachers are being forced to belong to about 4 unions. He has since called on the Anti-Corruption Commission to intervene by investigating the matter.
We are very much disheartened by the actions that these teacher unions are doing. The teacher unions in this country, they have decided to use a shortcut way of accessing teachers' payslips by conniving. We are actually suspecting that they are conniving with some overzealous PEMIC end users, because we find teachers all over the country having the same issue of multiple union deductions on their payslips. These unions, they're supposed to use mandate forms as signed by the teachers themselves. But you find that most of these unions are accessing the payslips without the teachers giving the consent. So we are worried, and we are calling upon the government to make sure that they check this act, ensuring that the teachers are rescued from this vice, because this vice has become cancerous, and if we don't check it well, it will actually cause teachers to have more problems. And yet the government is speaking restoration, and yet government is speaking of a better Zambia to be. So therefore we want to ask the Labour Commissioner to work and to be on top of these things, to check his unions and see what they are doing, because what we are doing right now as Moreta Zambia is only to provide information and to provide evidence, and teachers have provided evidence. They've given us their pay slips to say, look at this, there are 4 unions on one pay slip, there are 3 unions on one pay slip. This is not healthy. It's un-Christian, and it's a behavior that we should bring to book. And these law enforcers must take this with interest and ensure that they come and find a clean, they come and find a ready case to actually take on, because the teachers have suffered.
The Eastern Water Supply and Sanitation Company has disclosed that it is losing about 12 million kwacha due to non-revenue water. Company Public Relations Office Moses Nsunge says non-revenue water is a thorny issue which is affecting the operation of the utility company. Mr. Nsunge says the utility company has so far recorded 47% of non-revenue water, which is equivalent to 2 million kwacha. He says the water the utility is losing is meant to be accessed by customers, but is lost in the process of distribution to customers. Mr. Nsunge says the non-revenue water is also a cost to the company because the water being lost is treated.
It is on both the side of, the effect is both on the side of the customer as well as on the side of the company. On the side of the customer, that water that we are losing, this is water that was meant to be accessed by customers, but now it has been lost in the process of, distributing this water, or taking this water to the customer. Now, you'd find that the average hours of supply will reduce. The quality of service will reduce in the sense that the company will not have adequate water to give to the customer because part of the water has been lost through the system. The other issue is that it is a cost on the company. One, I've mentioned that it affects service delivery in the sense that the hours of supply are reduced. On the side of the company, that water that is lost, it has been treated already. Chemicals have been used on it, man hours have been used on it, and also electricity has been used. So you'd find that the cost that has gone into that treating that water will just go at a loss without recovering anything. The other thing is that this water, if it was available, we were able to expand the service to even other areas where they don't have this service. But now we find ourselves in a situation that the company does not have adequate water to even extend service to other areas that are not serviced because the water is not enough. So you'd find that we fail to expand the service because of high non-revenue water. So it is a big loss. It is a very thorny issue on water utility companies. That's why we are doing everything possible to see how best we can curb or we can reduce high non-revenue water.
You are watching the main news on Camnet TV. We take our first set of commercials. Do join me with the rest of the news after this break. Don't go away.
You know I can take her a bit.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti on your birthday.
Really?
I'm quiet. My name is Yana.
Don't worry, man. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance, but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
Deborah, have you connected to the Wi-Fi on the bus? It's fast, it's amazing. I've just downloaded my books and I'm about to complete the series. It's nice, too, me.
No, I'm actually watching a reality show. He's about to propose. Oh, so sweet.
Make your trip seem short yet comfortable and safe when you use the UBZ luxurious fully air-conditioned coaches that come fitted with amazing onboard entertainment, passenger information services, coffee-making facilities and fridge for your hot and cold beverages, free and interrupted Wi-Fi for your gadgets, phone charging facilities, comfortable seats that recline to offer extra resting posture, safety seat belts, adjustable reading lights for each traveling client, and of course, clean flushing toilets for your convenience. So travel in luxury and safety with UBZ luxurious coaches. UBZ will always take you there.
The government of the kingdom is the most powerful government in all of the universe. God appointed days and assignments for you to do long before your mother and father came together. So God spoke to Mr. Francis. The court of heaven is a very powerful place. It's a dimension in the spirit realm that my people can step into by faith and win battles against the devil.
There's at least 76 times where the Bible talks about that God is the judge of all the earth. So therefore, we're talking about the courts of heaven that is in the spiritual realm, not in the natural realm.
What God is about to do at Grace and in South Africa, I caught it. Therefore, what did I do? I believed. After I believed, I have announced. After I have announced, you and I are going to do what? Pray it into being in the natural.
The purpose of you knowing how to get into the courts of heaven and win the cases is not just for the sake of winning. It's for you to go to another level. To go to another level.
We have made prayer more complicated and difficult than what it is because we have not realized that this is a key element of our prayer life, that we pray that which were purposed so that grace can accompany and we can succeed and you can live a fulfilled life. And the heavens are pleased because that's what they fashioned us for.
Thank you for staying with us. We now continue with the rest of the news. Chililabombwe Mayor Lucky Sichone says residents of Chililabombwe district in the Copperbelt province must not view his frequent visit to various communities as a campaign strategy. Speaking during his routine engagement, Mr. Sichone explains that residents must understand that it is his responsibility to ensure he provides the services that residents need. Mr. Sichone says people should not politicize his frequent visit in the district.
And even live on Facebook, baranchita accuse barambe pesho doba do ma campaign arechitari or a campaigner. That's why that's why arechite if ni campaign yon say that you arechite. Now umuntu sometimes kuti mwafiro kuchita understand mu life efyafwayo me ngana ikara mu office tule mfentu ngurushi shimoshire ilishanyo beba dawo tapali fya arechita mu office mu yamone mushifore maneko mushina ulamba especially that time para kwa time ya rainy season ngamleibukisha umushi wetu tawale moneka bwe kwale sanga sana fisoso sana kuisa kukasumbalesa kakoso all over and ama complaints ya refuna sana mwale tuma sana amafoni mwatu makusanya FM mwatu mapisa mleibishani kwebati mushimono na ulamba sana. Now if we get to ngurushi tubomba especially ngaofa abantu bayirishana sana, it means your problem in the background, it needs your attention. If I go in and get to Ngurushi, ule yawe, we mwene, umone fi wala for wombe. Yes, to alipata cancers, no kumba balesha beni, but inchito shimoshira for baleo inenda meya, wayapa background because we have mushi. So aba nanga bailisha na sana. It's better to go on the ground for yourself. No kuya mfaba na chwa ilisha. The problem is twalipo tentunguru shishire shitokwe bati nga uli office shire ilishani kwe bato tapali chale bomba.
In other news, the Ministry of Water, Supply and Sanitation Permanent Secretary Joe Kalusa has hailed President Hakainde Hichilema for his commitment to make universal access to water, sanitation and hygiene for all Zambians a reality. Mr. Kalusa has reiterated government's commitment to revamp water resources and provide clean water across the country. Mr. Kalusa says the government has initiated various programs to ensure access to clean potable water. He has also praised President Hichilema's administration for increasing the Constituency Development Fund, CDF, saying the increase has allowed members of parliament to undertake various development projects in their respective areas, such as drilling boreholes. Mr. Kalusa says the government's commitment to increasing access to clean water aligns with its objective of addressing waterborne diseases and improving public health throughout the country.
In the past, the ministry was a department under different ministries. At one time, we were under the Ministry of Law Government. We were under the Ministry of Water Development and Sanitation. Under Ministry of Agriculture and under Ministry of Mines. So you find that the ministry was really not visible until the time the president gave us a full ministry, meaning we now have a full budget to ourselves. To that effect, we found a lot of projects that had stalled as a result of the previous government not honoring those contractual obligations. One of the projects is the Kafulafuta project in Masaiti. The project worth $500 million US. This project had stalled at a percentage of 78. There is the Nkana project, and so many projects, too numerous to mention, had stalled because the previous government started these projects and then others were counterpart. They were supposed to be counterpart funded. Then the government did not play its part by honoring its obligation. When President Hakainde Hichilema came in, all these projects which had stalled got resuscitated. I will quickly go back to Kafulafuta project, which had remained with $50 million US to complete so far. $30 million US has been released. We talk about the Nkana water project. $5 million US has also been released. And so many projects are currently running. Kazungula, we have started a new water project at the cost of €8 million.
We now take our final set of commercials. I will be back with international and sports news after the break.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Get all the latest updates in court news only on Camnet TV. We take you and make you feel part of the court sessions through our in-depth coverage of the adjudication process. Get informed on those that have been arrested, delayed and denied the police bond or bail victims, persons taking plea, court adjournments, verdicts, and those administration issues in the judiciary. Camnet TV is on channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on GoTV, and find us on channel 106 on Topstar. You can also follow and give us a like on our social media platforms. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Thank you for staying with us, and now with the rest of the news. In international news, the Democratic Republic of Congo's ruling party, the Union for Democracy and Social Progress, UDPS, has confirmed Felix Tshisekedi's candidacy for the 2023 presidential election at the Extraordinary Congress in Kinshasa. The party also voted Tshisekedi as their head for the next 5 years. Tshisekedi, who has been in power since January 2019, had earlier confirmed that they would run for a re-election. In December, Felix Tshisekedi will face several candidates, including Moise Katumbi. Here's a roundup of international news.
The Democratic Republic of Congo's ruling party, the Union for Democracy and Social Progress, UDPS, confirmed Felix Tshisekedi's candidacy for the 2023 presidential election at an extraordinary Congress in Kinshasa on Saturday. The party also voted Tshisekedi as their head for the next 5 years. President Tshisekedi, who has been in power since January 2019, had earlier on confirmed that he will run for re-election. For the national legislative election, the UDPS will field 495 candidates for the available 500 seats. And for the provincial legislative elections, the party is proposing candidates in all constituencies. In December, Felix Tshisekedi will face several candidates, including Moise Katumbi. His main competitor, who is the leader of the opposition, Martin Fayulu, said he will not run if proper changes are not done on the current electoral commission. The Human Rights Watch recently accused the government of Tshisekedi for repressing and intimidating the opposition 4 months ahead of presidential elections. The New York-based group cited the UN Joint Human Rights Office, which has noted political and electoral violence, arbitrary arrests and detentions, abductions, and threats targeting political opponents. The DRC is struggling to kill an armed rebellion by the M23 insurgency, which Kinshasa and several Western governments say is backed by neighboring Rwanda. Celebrations rock Zimbabwe, mainly by the supporters of the ZANU-PF party, after the declaration of President Emerson Mnangagwa as the winner of the just concluded election. The 80-year-old Mnangagwa won 52.6% of the ballots against 44% for the main challenger Nelson Chamisa, according to the official results announced by the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission. The presidential results were welcomed by the celebratory cheers of a few ruling party supporters at the news conference venue. This week, voting was forced to stretch into an unprecedented second day because of delays in printing of ballot papers in some key districts, including the opposition stronghold Harare. Chamisa condemned the delays as a clear case of voter suppression, a classic case of Stone Age rigging. Gabon's government announced a nationwide curfew and cut off internet access Saturday evening as voting in major national elections was wrapping up. The announcement came after the voters cast ballot to elect new local leaders, national legislators, and Gabon's next president. I hope that the vote goes well. There can't be any mistake. The winner must be declared. He must be the real winner. It must not be like the one who won, the one who didn't win like last time. I voted here in 2016. They cancelled polling stations, and that was not resumed. And it's not normal. It's inadmissible in a country of law and democracy. Fears of electoral violence are widespread in the Central African country of Gabon. We are afraid they will do what they did last time. Guns. You can't rule a country with guns. We don't want arms. Every vote held in Gabon since the country's return to a multi-party system in 1990 has ended in violence. Clashes between government forces and protesters following the 2016 elections killed 4 people, according to official figures. The opposition said the death toll was far higher.
And now in sports news, Tourism Minister Rodney Sikumba has said the fusion of sports, culture and tourism is not just a dream but tangible vision that has now become a reality as a means to strengthen Zambia's identity to the outside world. speaking when he officiated at the Zambia Sports Expo and Forum 2023 Culture Night and Gala Dinner organized by the ministry. As an epilogue for the Sports Expo at the Mulungushi International Conference Center last night, the minister said the initiative that has now been declared an annual event by President Hakainde Hichilema will help strengthen the cultural identity and showcase Zambia's unique cultural heritage. Sikumba urged the diaspora community to consider coming to invest in the tourism sector back home, as there was no better time to do that than now. He said his ministry is pushing the gastronomy agenda as a sure way of allowing visitors to the country to taste the different tradition, non-genetically modified food and realize economic benefication. And Zambia Diaspora Organization President Ferdinand Simanya said the event was the beginning of a new journey of hope to partner with government, the sport fraternity, financial players, and all stakeholders who cherish the dream of revenue generation and skills transfer. He said this has potential to bring about technological advancement and help with the development of excellent infrastructure in the country.
Stand and sing on Zambia proud and flag of our land.
Therefore need to take advantage of the unique characteristics to promote Zambia as a tourism destination through sports events. I think I did make mention yesterday the opportunities that exist in bringing together all sports disciplines to participate, and for us as Zambia to also pitch opportunities to hold these events here in Zambia. That in itself will put our country on the map. That in itself will give us an opportunity to create business linkages with all other sports disciplines. I do realize that we have a number of our colleagues in here who have actually been out, up and about, trying to sell Zambia as a tourist destination and indeed showcasing opportunities to bringing other tournaments in Zambia.
It's the beginning of a new journey of hope in our quest to partner with government, sports fraternity, the Zambia Diaspora Organization, the Culture and Heritage Fraternity, financial partners, and indeed all stakeholders in cherishing the dream of revenue generation, skills development, exchange visits of athletes to the rest of the world with the help of Zambians in the diaspora, skills and knowledge transfer, new technology advancements, and excellent infrastructure development.
Still in sports, an internal investigation has been launched by Spain's Football Federation after its sexual violence protocol was activated. Federation President Luis has been suspended by FIFA after kissing forward JENNI HERMOSO on the lips after Spain's Women's World Cup win. HERMOSO, 33, has said the kiss after last Sunday's game was not consensual. Maria Dolores Martinez Madrona, the protocol's protection delegate, said the matter is now being investigated. We've now come to the end of our main news bulletin, but before I go, here are the top stories making headlines. A civil rights activist mocks UPND'S corruption fight in the last 2 years. An old couple of Lusaka is on the verge of losing the land they occupied since in 1964. The Ministry of Labour challenged to investigate illegalities by teacher unions. In international news, DRC Congo's President FELIX TSHISEKEDI to seek re-election. And in sports news, Spanish FA activates the sexual violence protocol after JENNI HERMOSO kiss. We now look at the Camnet phrase of the day coming from the book of Mark 4, verse 39. And he rose and rebuked the wind and said unto the sea, Peace, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. My name is Sylvia Zulu. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of our programming. Good night.